Y'all, my hair is up, my hoodie is on, and you know what that means? We are about to get into some serious business conversation to make you a better badass CEO. Now, in today's video, we are going to hop back over to Notion because I want to walk you through exactly how I've built my CRM, but also use it for project management. And if you guys remember from my last Notion video, which I posted a few weeks ago, I'll put it down in the description if you haven't had a chance to check it out. But one thing that I was constantly struggling with was capturing data from my clients, my network, my partners. It was something that I couldn't figure out. I needed something like HubSpot, but I also needed something like Trello. And y'all know I used Trello for years. I still love them. I love teaching first-time entrepreneurs how to use the platform, but for my business specifically, it just wasn't working anymore. And so today I am going to walk you through exactly how I built my template, what I do in order to kind of go through the onboarding process with my clients, and I'm even going to give you a free template to get you started on your own Notion CRM. So stay tuned, but before we get into that, I want to say a huge thank you to my friends over at Squarespace. From the moment that I got on Squarespace, the platform is just so easy to use. It's intuitive, it's quick and simple, and I think for me as a business owner, Squarespace came in at the perfect time because I frankly, I needed it to make money, you know what I mean? So if you don't have a website yet, I definitely recommend checking out Squarespace. The learning curve is almost non-existent. Click, drag, plug in your content, and go on your way. My link is down in the description below. Go and check that out. You'll get 20% off your first annual plan. Now let's hop on over to our computer and get started talking about Notion. Okay, so first things first, hopping into our Notion dashboard, I want to quickly show you the places that I use my CRM, how I quickly access the projects that are in place. And this is something very specifically that I didn't love about Trello. And this is why I've built my Notion kind of around this idea of knowing exactly what is due when. So first and foremost, on 99 in St. Clair's dashboard, if we scroll down, our first section is our current client roster. So this is actually a linked database to the CRM we're about to build that shows specifically the clients that are currently in progress for their projects to get completed. So once a potential client comes in, they sign their contract, and we have onboarding dates, everything's been taken care of, I move them in their CRM over to project in progress under status, and they automatically show up here on my dashboard. So it's very easy for me to just pull it up really quickly. Rather than scrolling through hundreds of people and contacts, this makes it really easy for me to be able to see, okay, this is what I have going on. But most importantly, you know, this can be customized. I have just showing the business name and the status, but if you wanted to show things like long-term projects versus day rates, things like that, if you wanted to show web design versus branding, you can do all of that here. So now jumping into the actual template, and this is available down below if you want to make your own copy to start building out your CRM in Notion. So first and foremost, again, we have that linked current client roster. I put that there for you just in case that you need it. But I want to walk you through exactly how I add people to my CRM because unfortunately there are certain just kind of limits to Notion right now. So unfortunately, Notion is not usable via Zapier or Automate.io, and so you do have to manually enter your contacts into your CRM. So kind of how I do it, once someone fills out my contact form on my website or they DM me on Instagram, I actually spend about an hour every day set aside to do admin work. So at that point, this is when I would add them in here. And my goal is to just get every lead into my CRM prior to having a discovery call with them, because I think it's really important to be able to document who actually said they were interested in working with you versus who followed through and actually got on the phone with you. And it's a lot easier, I'll show you guys in a second, but it's a lot easier to already have your notes set up and things like that when you hop on the call. So scrolling down the overall CRM database in Notion. So when we are in here, there are a few pieces of data that are really important to me, important to my business. I come from the data world, so I kind of already know what I'm looking for, but keep in mind this is fully customizable. You can do whatever you need to do here. But for me, it's important to have the business name, the point of contact, and their email. And I use that because I don't always work with solo entrepreneurs. I usually work with museums and nonprofits, and they have multiple team members. So I like to just list out who exactly I'm always emailing, just because I usually have multiple emails and contacts that go through a project phase. I want to know exactly who it is that I should be submitting milestones to, right? And scheduling those meetings out. And then under your status, this is a multi-select option. So we pretty much have everything that I use in my business. So discovery calls, contract negotiation, and this allows you to filter out exactly where a client is when they're there. So for me, it's really important to know who scheduled a discovery call but didn't actually show up, who decided to not move forward. And when they don't move forward, that is when you want to go in and you want to add notes about why. Maybe you decided they weren't a good fit for your business, or the budget didn't work out, etc. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They didn't ghost you, things like that. But it is interesting to start following the trends of why people dropped off and at what point they did that. And then you have type of project. So this is branding, web design, whatever you offer. I try to get as broad but also as simple as possible here. So overall long-term projects, branding, web design combined. If I'm building out their membership space or doing video production. Also day rates. So am I doing strategy or am I doing design under that? So these are absolutely customizable. You can kind of do what you need to do there. And then we have a referral source. So in my business, I have a very high referral rate. And on my own CRM, I actually have a running list of who has referred me. So so on this list, I actually have names listed, and I left this blank here. You can totally add them for yourself. You can add Facebook, Instagram, or just type it out. But it is interesting, this specific piece of data to follow, especially as you're planning your yearly goals, because you may be spending all your time on Facebook, but all your referrals are coming from Instagram. So in the new year, in your new planning, you might want to take a look at this column and say, I don't need to be on Facebook at all anymore, or whatever your situation is. Or maybe you realize that, hey, this past client has referred me 9 clients. I need to maybe think about what kind of bonus I can give them moving forward to work with me to get clients and kind of build this ecosystem. And that is something that I have incorporated into my business. So if you refer someone to me, the person that gets referred gets $50 to $150. It depends on the actual project they sign. They get that off of their proposal, and then the person that referred that person, if that client signs the contract and completes the project, they then get $50 to them. And I also have a space for notes because I have some clients that will refer a lot of people to me, knowing that they want to work with me again in the future, and we just kind of hang on to that dollar amount and I take it off of their project in the future. So it's something to think about. It's a great data piece if you're looking to up your marketing. And then lastly, we have our project dates. So this is when the project runs, right? So what day did they start? What day does it end? I do leave this as open text because I have had clients who are repeating clients, and so usually I will list all of the dates down within that cell block and be able to say, okay, every 6 months they're coming to me for something. I know that I need to email them on that day to kickstart the next project. So you're probably wondering what makes this CRM so special. And what really makes this special is every row in this database can become its own subpage. So when you're adding someone to your CRM, it's not just an Excel row, right? So up in the right hand corner, we have this blue button that's titled New. So you can either click that, or you can click the drop down and click on any template that you've created. Either way, doesn't really matter which way you click it. If you click New, it's just gonna prompt you to create it down at the bottom. So I usually go to the drop down and just click that. And if you are new to Notion, you can actually open this as a full page for a full view. But as you'll see, it is loading at the bottom and it will auto add everything that I've created within this template. So let's go ahead and just kind of fill this out as if I had a new client coming in. So we'll just name this Sarah's test. We'll say that this project is just a new lead. They're looking to work with me ASAP. So really in this section, I add every single thing from their contact form in here. And then usually what I do is, if they did fill out my contact form, I usually just add the notes down at the bottom. It really depends, because I've been having more people on social media lately rather than filling out my website contact form. So traditionally, with those projects, I usually just will fill this out and get them to schedule immediately a discovery call rather than having them fill out that contact form. And then I get the rest of the data during our discovery call and add that in during the call rather than before we actually talk. So point of contact, we'll just say Sara, fill that in. Okay, and we're gonna say YouTuber for industry. And type of project, let's just say day rate, simple design. And sometimes this will hide properties depending on how long it is, so you can just click show more. And referral, we'll say Instagram. Okay, so now we also, down below, we have pretty simple, quick sub pages. So this, yes, is a piece of our CRM, but you can build out a full infrastructure for every single client for your business. So I usually, what I do at this point is invite my clients to this specific page, because then they have access to all of our meeting notes and I don't have to constantly send things out. I don't have to share things. Under project planning, usually, you know, we'll do inspiration, we'll write copy, we'll write website layout, things like that, right? And everything underneath those toggles or those sub pages have to do with their project. So everything is kept in-house. You don't really have to go looking around for things like you might have on Trello, right? And you actually have the ability to comment everywhere and on everything. So if I wanted to add a comment here, personally, let's say I didn't already share this with the client, I could say red flag on contact form, and we could say low budget, right? So just send that to myself as a quick little comment. And I use the comments more so just for me rather than creating a sub notebook of my thoughts. I usually will just use the comment section. And then if I do end up booking the client, I will just click the delete button on there and get rid of it, because if I ended up booking them, I probably don't need that note. But if it's not necessarily so personal, I usually just leave them on there. And under project notes, I usually use these sub pages as their own templates with all of the exact questions I ask for every single client. So in the discovery call, everyone gets the same questions no matter who they are, what they're looking for. My discovery calls are really focused on, you know, goals of your business. Why do you want to work with me? Very strategic, pointed questions. And I can tell pretty early on in that call if someone is going to be a good fit for me. And then from there, going into like the strategy meeting, those are more customized to the client based on the actual project. But this also gives the client a really great space to leave their notes and their thoughts as we go along. And a lot of times, you know, if I'm developing copy for a client, I will put a sub page just for copy on this CRM landing spot for them, right? So then they know that that is where they put all of their copy. Now, I don't necessarily share files on Notion. That is something that you can do. However, I really haven't kind of found my flow with that yet, because traditionally when I'm sharing files, it's like final logo files, final design files, and I still am sharing those via Google Drive. I haven't really gotten to a comfortable place where I feel like it would work here. By the end of every project, I'm usually emailing like a final offboarding email and then linking their files there. And I do have kind of an offboarding process where it's like you need to make copies of these. I am not responsible for your files. So I have kind of a whole offboarding process, but you can share things like that here. You can link the contract that they signed via DocuSign or whatever you use. So it's a really intuitive space depending on the type of projects you do. There's a lot of open availability and possibility, right, to do what you need to do that I feel like I really wasn't getting anywhere else. Okay, so now that we've added this individual as a new lead, you'll notice that when we come into CRM Template, you now have all of the people listed out that you've worked with. And you can filter, business name. We can do it descending, so they're alphabetical. You can do it by project date. You can do it by referral source. And so this really is a great place for you to start looking at your data without feeling overwhelmed about your data, right? And then heading back in, so let's say Sarah's test has now become a client. We've signed the contract, we're ready, we're in progress. So we're gonna switch that status to project in progress, and now you'll see that it automatically shows up under the current client roster. So I've already set that up for you, it's there, it's ready to go. You could also add things such as, so if we wanna add another filter, we're gonna say, or is under contract negotiation, right? So post discovery call, basically, we want to know where we're at. So we could simply change this client to be contract negotiation, and now you have a much better idea of what's coming up, what's current for you, so you don't get overwhelmed. Now, the second anything changes, let's say that we were under contract negotiation, but let's say that this client just decided to not move forward. So we want to change that to did not move forward, open this back up, and now in our comments we could say did not move forward due to funding. We could just say that, right? Reach out in 6 months. We'll say reach out in 90 days. Perfect. So now that we've added that comment, you'll notice that under the business name, there's actually a little comment block that popped up. And so usually what I do every, month basically is I'll come in and kind of resolve the comments, see what I need to do, add things to my calendar if they aren't under current clients, right? So I do have a marketing strategy that once a client doesn't move forward based on kind of what the situation was, maybe they ghosted me, maybe, I don't know. Whatever the situation is, I will then go kind of through those individuals every month or so, every 6 months, just depending on how many there are, and decide, okay, do I want to reach out to them? Do I not? And really kind of start building that network out, right? Because just because they couldn't work with you right then and there doesn't mean they're not going to work with you in the future. I actually had a client last year that ghosted our discovery call, ended up reaching out earlier this year and ended up being one of my best clients. So if you are paying attention to this data, if you build out your CRM to really house the crucial information for your business, it can be really beneficial to you. And then the other thing, you could add things. Let's say we want to add a new column. Let's just say networking notes, right? So you can also add people in here who may or may not be a client. Maybe they're a contact at Facebook, or maybe they are a friend of a friend who is a website developer. So let's go ahead and add that as just a simple entry, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So, okay, so we'll say Sara Loretta, okay? We can skip point of contact name. Email, we'll just say Sara@sara.com. Totally not my email, don't try emailing it. And then under networking notes, we can say website, WordPress developer, right? So now I have someone's contact saved, and you'll notice if I click open, it's now prompting me as an empty page to add what I want. So you could absolutely create a template for yourself just for networking to share notes or things like that. Or you can just say, I want an empty page, and start typing. So let's say met Sara at a networking event. She's an amazing WordPress developer. Would Cool. Awesome. So now you have your own kind of networking list going. Awesome. So that is my Notion CRM that I've built for my business. I have really fallen in love specifically with this aspect of Notion, and I would love to know if you are considering Notion, if you need help building it out. I am by no means an expert, but I would love to see your thoughts, opinions down below in the comments. And if you haven't already done so, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, because we are here every Tuesday and Friday to help you become a better badass CEO. I'll see you in the next video. Have an amazing rest of your week. Keep killing it, guys.